4:50 a.m., the Kerch Strait Bridge. For the second time in 6 months, Vladimir Putin's $4 billion strategic artery is ablaze. However, initial assessments suggest this is not merely another truck-borne IED or a clandestine maritime drone strike. The twisted steel and cratered concrete tell a far more ominous story for Moscow. The infrastructure bears the unmistakable signature of American-made precision glide munitions. Ukraine didn't just strike the bridge, they successfully penetrated Russia's impenetrable anti-access area denial bubble with an F-16, delivered their payload, and egressed before Air Defense Command could react. The impossible has transitioned into a costly reality. But before the smoke clears and the Kremlin begins its inevitable purge of the general staff, we must deconstruct the complex tactical puzzle Ukraine had to solve. This was not a lucky shot, it was Operation Blindfolded Bear, a mission plan predicated on a terrifyingly fragile fusion of advanced American hardware and garage-engineered decoys. First, let's examine the primary vector of this raid, the F-16 Block 50. In the hands of the USAF, this airframe is an apex predator. But here, flying solo into the teeth of the Russian integrated air defense system, it is prey. Its payload consists of 4 GBU-39 small-diameter bombs. These are not massive bunker busters. They are surgical instruments. Each is a 285-pound glider equipped with a guidance system capable of striking a specific parking bay from 46 miles away. Yet today, the target is not a parking spot. They are aiming for a specific expansion joint on a bridge pylon, compromised during the previous attack 6 months ago, and crucially, timing the impact to trigger a sympathetic detonation of a Russian ammunition convoy transporting 152mm artillery shells. It is akin to intercepting a bullet with another bullet while blindfolded. And that brings us to the adversary, the Russian S-400 Triumph. On paper, this system is a leviathan. Its 92N6E gravestone engagement radar can track 300 targets simultaneously, enforcing a 250-mile no-fly zone that theoretically reduces any F-16 to confetti before the pilot even visually acquires the bridge. Its 48 N6 interceptors are essentially telephone poles flying at Mach 6. Doctrinally, this mission is suicide. The S-400 sees everything, kills everything, and never blinks. So, how does one defeat a system that never blinks? You induce a digital hallucination. Ukraine is not merely dispatching a jet, they are orchestrating a chaotic symphony of expendable technology designed to overwhelm the S-400's logic processors. Without spoiling the outcome, the strategy involves converting 50 low-cost drones and a handful of USVs into a ghost fleet that shouldn't exist. The objective is to purchase a terrifyingly narrow 30-second window of opportunity. If the wind shear is off, the plan fails. If the Russian radar refresh rate is 0, 5 seconds faster than the math predicts, the F-16 is dust. The probability of mission failure stands at 70%, and the clock is already ticking, 0445 hours. The Black Sea is shrouded in pre-dawn darkness, yet inside the cockpit of the lead F-16, the threat warning receiver is already glowing with the lethal yellow bands of Russian search radars. The pilot, call sign, Ghost, 200 feet. Hugging the wave tops at 550 knots, he is effectively piloting a $60 million supercomputer into a microwave oven. Ahead, the S-400 battery at Kerch is sweeping the horizon with its gravestone radar. This system is the modern Eye of Sauron, processing target data with supercomputing speed. If Ghost pops up now, his survivability is measured in roughly 12 seconds. He requires a distraction. Right on cue, the ocean comes alive. 3 miles ahead, 10 Magura V, 5 unmanned surface vehicles, typically employed for suicide kinetic runs, execute an unprecedented maneuver. They halt, top hatches slide open, and from the decks of this robotic flotilla, a swarm of 40 modified FPV drones screams into the sky. This is where simple arithmetic meets logistical brilliance. Each Magura acts as a carrier for 4 quadcopters, solving the inherent range limitation of FPVs. By ferrying them to the bridge's doorstep, Ukraine has bypassed the battery endurance limit. As the swarm ascends to 5,000 feet, the operation bifurcates. 5 of the Magura boats, their delivery mandate fulfilled, execute a 180-degree turn and race back toward the safety of open water. They are high-value assets. However, 5 Maguras remain on station. These are the sacrificial lambs. They throttle to maximum, activating corner reflectors designed to artificially inflate their radar cross-section, making these 18-foot skiffs appear as 60-foot landing craft on enemy scopes. Above them, the 40 FPV drones aren't merely loitering, they are functioning as airborne electronic warfare transmitters. They activate custom spoofing pods. To the naked eye, they are plastic toys. To the Russian S-400 radar, they present a terrifyingly different signature. The pods emit a frequency-hopping signal that mimics the radar return of inbound cruise missiles. Suddenly, the radar operator's console at Kerch doesn't display 40 drones. It registers 40 low-flying cruise missiles, inbound on multiple attack vectors. It is a classic denial-of-service attack, applied to the laws of physics. The S-400's fire control processor, designed to filter out biological noise and sea clutter, is instantly flooded with high-priority threats. The AI logic freezes, attempting to classify the targets. Is it a storm shadow? Is it a decoy? The Russian Pantsir S, one-point defense crews are overwhelmed. Their radar screens are a blizzard of static and false contacts, forcing a switch to manual optical tracking. The battery commander barks the order, weapons free, engage all contacts. The 2 Pantsir batteries, positioned on the bridge approach, unleash hell. First, the 30mm autocannons roar to life. These are not mere machine guns, they are high-velocity chainsaws. Twin barrels dump 5,000 rounds per minute of high-explosive fragmentation shells into the sky. Tracers tear through the darkness like neon whips. The lead FPV drone, caught in a cone of fire, doesn't just break it, vaporizes into a cloud of polymer and copper. But here is the tactical dilemma for the Russians. The swarm is dispersed, the autocannons have a limited effective envelope of 2.5 miles. The FPV drones are hovering at the edge of this range, dipping in and out, baiting the gunners. Frustrated, the battery commander escalates, authorizing missile launches. 4 57E6 interceptor missiles streak off the rails. Mach 4 kinetic killers designed to snap the spine of a cruise missile. Today, they are hunting $500 quadcopters. The first missile detonates. A cluster of 3 drones vanishes in a fireball. The Russian crew cheers. They believe they are winning the engagement. While the sky lights up with millions of dollars in ordnance, the critical phase is unfolding 12 miles out, deep in the radar shadow. Pilot Ghost is monitoring the pyrotechnics on the horizon. To him, those tracers and missile plumes represent a green light. Every turret vectoring toward the drones is a turret not vectoring toward him. He checks fuel flow. He verifies the radar altimeter, 180 feet. He is flying so low that sea spray is hitting his sensors. Why is he safe? It is a matter of simple geometry. The Earth is round. At 12 miles out and 180 feet altitude, Ghost is physically masked behind the curvature of the planet relative to the Pantsir's sea-level radar. The S-400's main search radar could acquire him if it looked down, but currently, its logic processors are choking on the 40 missiles, screaming on the scopes above. The Russian defense network has developed tunnel vision, fixated entirely on the loud, bright swarm at 5,000 feet. They have neglected to check the floor. Ghost pushes the throttle to military power, avoiding the afterburner, which would generate a thermal plume visible to satellites. He needs raw, cold thrust. He closes the distance at 600 miles per hour. Back at the bridge, the drone swarm is being decimated. 15 drones down, 20 drones down. The Pantsirs are reloading, barrels glowing cherry red. The air is thick with smoke and cordite. Russian operators are celebrating. believing they have successfully defended the asset. Their screens are clearing, the false targets are vanishing. As the final FPV drone spirals into the sea, the operators exhale. They believe the sky is clear. That is the signal. Emerging from the radar shadow of the bridge pylons, the 5 remaining Magura V5S throttle up. This is no longer a stealth insertion. Engines roar, pushing the hulls to 45 knots. They charge directly at the bridge. Active emitters screaming electronic noise to simulate low-flying cruise missiles. The Russian defense network panics. The Pantsir crews, barrels still smoking, are forced to depress their guns toward the water. The sea churns with geysers of 30mm rounds. One Magura explodes, then a second is torn apart by a patrol boat's heavy machine gun. But this chaos is exactly the window Ghost was waiting for. While every Russian sensor is depressed toward the surface, Ghost pulls back on the stick. The F-16 rockets from 200 feet to 2,000 feet in a violent pop-up maneuver. He climbs out of the radar shadow, exposing himself to the entire Russian IADS. He has effectively stood up in the middle of a gunfight. Ghost reaches the apex of his climb at 2,000 feet, but does not level off. He pulls harder, putting the jet into a 45-degree climb, establishing a loft trajectory. He isn't just dropping the bombs, he is throwing them. But momentarily, he freezes. Through the targeting pod, a new set of shapes resolves on the bridge deck. This is the reason he is risking the airframe. Rolling out of the smoke on the Taman side is a massive logistics convoy. 20 heavy Kamaz 6000, 350 trucks, suspensions sagging under extreme load, flanked by Tiger armored cars. For the last 15 minutes, halted by the drone attack, the convoy had waited. Believing the raid over, the Russian commander made a fatal error. He ordered the convoy to proceed, unknowingly driving straight into the kill box. Ghost tracks the lead truck approaching the expansion joint at pylon 145. Not yet. A premature drop hits the escorts useless. He needs the canvas-covered trucks directly over the structural weak point. Why? Because those tarps conceal Order 77B, 500 tons of 152mm artillery shells. Hitting the deck makes a hole. Hitting those trucks creates a tactical nuclear weapon made of conventional explosives. He must wait for the heavy center of the convoy to roll onto the fracture. Every second spent loitering at 2,000 feet is a second. The S-400 has to look up and kill him. He is a sitting duck, betting his life on the chaos below. On the water, the 3 remaining Maguras are fighting for his life, no longer targeting the bridge, but striving to maintain the distraction. The patrol ship, Sergei Kotov, spots Magura, No. 3, its AK-630 rotary cannon, a 6-barreled beast firing 5,000 rounds per minute erupts. A wall of water and steel consumes the drone. Magura, No. 3 attempts to jink, but a 30mm shell tears through the engine block. It cartwheels and disintegrates. 2 drones left, Magura, No. 4 and No. 5 split. Executing a pincer maneuver on the Sergei Kotov, the corvette cannot engage 2 vectors simultaneously. The captain orders a hard starboard turn to unmask the AK-630 against No. 4. The gun shreds the drone just 164 feet from the hull, detonating its fuel tank in a massive explosion. 1 drone remains. Magura, No. 5, ignored in the confusion, slips past the ship's stern. Instead of attacking, it maximizes its radar emitter, circling the main pylon and screaming electronic noise that mimics a bomber fleet on Russian scopes. The chaos is absolute. Pantsirs are firing at the water. The patrol ship is fighting fires. Smoke blinds the sensors. Up in the cockpit, Ghost sees the smoke, the tracers hitting the water. The distraction is perfect. He checks the targeting pod. The lead Kamaz crosses the line, then the second. The heavy center of the convoy is now directly over pylon 145. The trap is sprung. Ghost presses the release. 2 GBU-39 SDBs detach, gaining the kinetic energy needed to glide the terminal distance. Diamond wings snap open. They are away, but his luck runs out. The S-400 operator, realizing the bomber fleet is merely 5 boats, manually resets the radar filter. The clutter vanishes, hanging in the sky at 2,000 feet is the F-16. The Russian commander screams the launch order. Ghost's RWR screams a solid, continuous tone. Missile launch. A 48N6 interceptor blasts out of its canister, accelerating to Mach 6. Ghost slams the throttle to full afterburner, yanks the stick, rolling inverted, and dives toward the sea, pulling 9 Gs. His vision grays out as the G-suit squeezes his legs to keep blood in his brain. He dumps flares and chaff, magnesium burning hot to seduce the seeker. But this missile has countermeasure logic. It ignores the flares, tracking the jet. The math dictates he is dead. He has one chance, the notch. He turns the F-16 perfectly perpendicular to the incoming radar beam. If he can match his closure rate to the speed of the drifting smoke clouds below, the Doppler radar might mistake him for clutter. For a terrifying second, the missile wavers. Then it reacquires. Ghost braces for impact. Boom! The missile detonates, but not on him. It intercepts one of the GBU-39 bombs. The Russian missile, programmed to prioritize the highest threat, switched targets at the last second, prioritizing the incoming munition over the retreating jet. The GBU-39 vaporizes. Ghost is alive, but the mission is compromised. Only one bomb remains, gliding silently toward the bridge. The S-400 prepares a second launch. Ghost is still in range, but the last GBU-39 is indifferent to radar or missiles. It is a 250-pound robot with a single purpose. It glides through the smoke, correcting for a 15-knot crosswind. The strike, it doesn't hit the asphalt, it punches through the canvas of the truck, straight into the stack of 152mm shells. For a microsecond, the laws of physics seem suspended. Then, a thermal event occurs. The GBU-39's warhead detonates inside 5 tons of high explosives. The shockwave acts as a sympathetic detonator for the rest of the convoy, triggering 500 tons of ordnance simultaneously. The result is effectively a tactical nuclear yield without the radiation. A 300-foot-wide fireball engulfs the span, spiking temperatures to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to turn asphalt into lava and strip the temper from structural steel instantly. Pylon 145 is subjected to a vertical hammer blow. It was never engineered to survive. The entire 300-foot span buckles, sagging 5 meters and twisting into a grotesque, impassable metal sculpture. The Russian army's artery is severed not by a scalpel, but by blunt force trauma 12 miles away, skimming the waves at Mach 1. Ghost doesn't look back. The orange glow on his canopy tells him the mission is accomplished. Fuel, 800 pounds, cutting it close, but enough to return to base. When the smoke clears, the damage is catastrophic. The rail line is warped, the roads span a smoking ruin. The math is brutal for Moscow. Ukraine expended $1.3 million in drones and bombs. In exchange, Russia faces hundreds of millions in repairs, the loss of critical ammunition, and the total paralysis of Southern Front logistics. I want to hear from you. Does this strike mark the end of Russia's hold on Crimea, or will they patch this up as before? Let me know in the comments. Bye for now.